Tales from the Tome Table.
Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome to I believe this is like our fourth or fifth Tome Table now. I can't even remember anymore. I think third?
I'll put it up here.
No, because we did do an audio-only one. So there was
Yeah.
one,
maybe
two,
then.
then three. So this is four. Yeah, this will be four. There you go. Number four. We've gotten into the habit of moving them towards the end of every arc now instead of doing one every 5 to 10 episodes like we originally had. Fix the lip, girl. You're gonna have to do my makeup for me next week. How wacky is that?
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
Oh, I'm getting my nails
I'm
done
gonna,
for
I'm,
it.
I'm,
You
gonna
always
go
have
buy
something.
razors and I'm gonna shave my beard, like completely smooth my face out so I can just get done up.
Oh, I'm
You should
so
have seen my
excited.
girlfriend's face yesterday when I'm like, "Do you do my nails in a couple of weeks?" She's like, "Excuse me." I'm like, "There's a reason."
I might even commit and get the fake long nails. Like really.
Do it.
cute.
Oh,
you can get.
If you can source them, I'll do it.
You can get stick-on ones.
I saw them. It came up, and I
Yeah.
actually thought about that, but I don't know if I could deal with it.
That's right. Just
Just for a brief moment of time.
Yeah.
Just commit.
Anyway,
I like as well that you made it so much easier for me to look like you with the hair. Like it was
You're
really
so
thankful, like
very
thoughtful of you.
welcome.
Like
so
We'll
handsome.
get you like a little like clip-on food.
We'll
put
get
it
you
there.
like the clip-on earrings as well.
Oh
No,
yes.
I'll just get a drill bit.
Get
for
shit-
those of you
no.
that don't understand, actually, you would have seen it by now. The Halloween special.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Based
jump,
on
we're
all
gonna
the
jump
release,
out, yeah.
that's going to come out way sooner. So we were all each other.
Excuse me. Pardon me. I know times are weird kind of too. But anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Good times weird in the
So,
face.
we are covering episode 15 to
16,
up until episode
28.
28, which for us, we had just finished recording. Golly, gang. What a fucking roller coaster that was.
My feelings are hurt.
I'm
Good.
not sorry.
There's
Never will be.
a little dude flying around. I
Yeah,
will
there's
get
a
him.
bug.
He's back. You know what? He's the one from the above the table the other week. I'm telling you right
Didn't
now.
you get him?
I don't know, but maybe he come back from the grave.
Out of
But-
spite, just to get you.
Yep.
I think it was because you specifically said in that game that you'd never let bug people be in your campaign.
And then the bug people were like,
Bug people. I am bug people.
No, I'm talking about.
Mozzie is bug people.
We're going to talk about this on the car ride home, and I'll get into the idiosyncrasies of bug people in D&D, all right? Be quiet. But episode 16, in the wake of the panic at the ballroom, the broken few begin to... Oh, yeah, you've got your notes.
I need my notes.
The broken
Bagman.
few... Yeah, there was the lawkeeper.
Bagman.
The bagman, yeah.
So yeah, we have our lawkeeper here. Very handy for these episodes.
So we, in the wake of the ballroom blitz, which I'm so angry I didn't get that name in before we uploaded it. I remembered it at work the day after it went live, driving the forklift, and I heard one of the guys drive past.
I can change that.
Too late now. And I heard one of the guys drive past, one of the old fellas, and he used to have a Bluetooth speaker and listen to the radio, and Ballroom Blitz drove past, he was like, Ballroom Blitz. He drove off, and I was like, and I was so angry. But, the party, we got rid of Tess, we got rid of her retinue, Sebastian was there to help out, and eventually you guys had to dip to lay low, and that became the perfect opportunity for everyone to perhaps dip and go sort out this cleric issue. We're going to get the cleric who took a pilgrimage to the Deadlands, because this is the only cleric in the church that unfortunately has the ability and the skill set to ensure a revival for Ayacup. So the party begin to move on. So that's the the rough estimate of it as the party begin to move out. Let's turn it over. How did you guys feel as far as starting the leg of the journey, being like, we're leaving the city and it's nowhere close to being cleaned up or safe anymore, but we made a considerable dent. What was that like, going from being in the city for 10 episodes, and we were doing a long form back then, to now, going to leave again and going somewhere else? What was that like?
Fucking great. Hugo hates the city.
Fucking shit. Zero hates anything that isn't the city.
Perfect. Moving on.
Scary and exciting because they've never left the city.
Yeah, oh man. What about Voyage?
He's a wanderer. What do you mean?
Wanderer.
It's been Voyage the
Him
whole
and Hugo
time.
was skipping out and you guys were being dragged along.
Oh wow. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I saw that. It was I was so when it came to the point where the party was ready to leave, I was so eager to see how the experiences inside the walls of the city would adjust how the party interacted with people outside. the city. You know what I mean? Like, because I know a lot of the key interactions for you guys outside of the city was like after you went to Groswasser Bay and you went to that mining town, and obviously Woodgate, which we'll cover a bit later. What I really want to pick everyone's brain about is the instance of introducing the Bagman into the game, which again Yasashi Kyojin crafted that miniature for me after
Masashi?
I asked
Cody.
it. Yeah, I was like, "Hey, do you have a Bagman mini?" He goes, "Oh no, but I've thought about it." I was like, "Oh well, if you ever do one, man, let me know because I'd love to buy one." And then he goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm ordered." And I was like, "What?" And he sent me a screenshot, and I was like,
Yasashi is quickly becoming a very
Good friend of the show.
a part of the show almost. We're
"Friend
in
of the
talks.
show, Yasashi Kyojin."
What a
Uh,
talented person, though. Like, that mini creeped me out.
His stuff's great. He had one pop up the other day. You saw it as well. It was like an undead baby giant
That
embryo
weird, like,
thing.
baby embryo
it's
thing.
like
I don't even
Yeah.
know.
Didn't it have like an umbilical cord
Yeah.
like around its neck or something? Yeah, it's fucking really.
I'll put a
Dark
picture.
Souls.
That shit was fucked up in the best way.
Oh.
Yeah,
I straight away was like, yeah, Cody's gonna dig this. Like,
put it in the game.
I tried. I
I
was like,
knew
how
you
can I
would.
insert this really quickly? It's okay, I'll figure it out.
Lickety split, yeah.
Lickety split. Yep.
yeah, no, his stuff's great though, and we're actually talking about him maybe doing some custom minis for the Feywild module.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So we're completely redesigning the Jabberwocky to be something original to our world.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And gonna see if we can get him to do us a model.
Yeah, that'd be sick
Fuck
as
yeah.
fuck. No, it's gonna be so sick. If we're feeling generous, we might throw up some of like the doodles that Seb did in his book, but we'll see how we go. But
hold off.
it's gonna change 100 times before it goes final. Let's be real.
We'll
But-
talk more about the module
Yeah,
later.
that's for a different video. But yeah, so because we've gone, let's look back at the first 5 episodes. The shambling mound, the anguishes, and going to the city, and then it's all urban, urban recon, urban horror, all this sort of shit, and then going back into the wilds outside, like, for lack of a better term, the safety of the city. And then obviously this huge Huno dude crawling out of the bag of holding. What was that like, being like, oh, but we're back in the wilds now, shit's gonna be all weird? How did everyone feel about
Like home.
Look, the creatures and stuff we came across, Hugh was like, yeah, I've seen creatures before. The full-grown man crawling out of his new bag was weird. That was one of those, did not see that shit coming, but that brought that horror that you, I know, try and bring in that we ruin.
Yeah.
That brought that
Ruins put it
vibe
light.
back.
I put my dating sim campaign, right, has quickly gone into a horror game, which is not what I intended at all. But no, that was fun. That was fun. I remember going to Ravenloft and I was like, just like a reskin troll thing. Yeah, I'll use that. I'll just slip that in. And I was like, where can I do this? Maybe later down the line. And Hugh was like, I'm gonna buy a bag of holding. I was like,
I like
fucking idiot.
I like extra, like, almost wacky things like that, because it's high fantasy. There's no reason that shit can't just be unexplainable. Like,
Yeah.
too often we just throw like, oh, there's wolves or there's thieves. It's like, yeah, cool, that's just going to exist. But why not throw something completely
Yeah.
that
fucking
feels
psycho out?
Out of pocket. Well, that was a lot of fun with continuing down the line. You guys going to the city and then going into the rock biters, the rock eaters. That was a cool one to
Oh, yeah.
throw some like we've toyed with the idea of like mutagenics and all that sort of stuff in our high fantasy world where shit can be tampered with and altered. And pardon me, these entities that like eat minerals and they get benefits from the minerals. What happens when they eat the big bad purple rock? And look how good that went.
And we
I think
got
I killed
Possum
the
Cat the Owlbear.
Yeah.
Possum Cat and Rat and Pigeon.
I'll
Yeah.
miss them terribly.
The thing that's been living rent free in my brain for the last couple of weeks for us is Zero screaming, "No, my money!" That's been a fun one. Then proceeding further on down that trip, I really want to talk about when you guys stopped in. I've already forgot what it was called. I write it down. I just forgot the mining town.
What was that?
Like what?
Oh, it was Spy's Nest.
It was Grasswasser
Spy
Bay.
Nest.
Yeah.
meeting up with that backdoor Rift Glass astral dealer, Rift Glass dealer.
That didn't go so well.
I hope it's still rotting in that barrel.
Same.
It's-
Should have put him in that mining equipment.
It's been a couple of days, and the camera pans, and he's still like,
Yeah,
the top of the
like
bottle.
feet, legs, shoes.
Flying.
I imagine it's the kind of town where someone walks past, sees it, and just keeps walking.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that. They're like, oh, he died in a horrible crate accident, and like they just continue to walk. But let's get into the minds of like our two criminals, the underbelly specialists. How did that make you feel as characters? Seeing that thing that's been a root of a problem that's been so prominent for you guys outside that bar.
Terrifying. Fucking pissed off.
Yeah. I don't think either of us were very pleased to see that so far out from where like such a core of it happens. And it's kind of like it almost like I guess in their heads made the job bigger because we were like, it's no longer in the fucking city, like because even though it was just Rift Glass, the premise of Rift Glass itself is so chaotic and unfathomable that something even worse than Astral could possibly be made when it starts to go into the hands of other people who aren't in a city setting and go, oh, I can make money off of this and think of it as a business aspect. You know, when it starts to branch out further from the city and lands in the hands of people who think differently, it could be an even bigger problem than Astral getting their hands on Rift Glass. So I think Zeph and Ciro saw that and they were like, fuck, now our cleanup job area's just fucking expanded. Like, even if we nip it in the bud here, there's still all the residual fucking shit that seems to be slowly making its way further out of the city.
It's like seen as a virus. Almost.
Yeah.
Like it's spreading, even though you've gotten to the core of the problem, there are still people infected.
See,
Yeah.
I love it that this, like, because as far as I know with Rift Blasting, because early on I helped develop some of the stuff behind the scenes, how it actually works, and it's played into some of the other choices we've made in one-shots and stuff as well. It is everywhere.
Yeah.
Already. It's been there forever since whatever, but now it's attached to something negative in your minds as characters. Like, this guy was just trading in goods that have probably always been traded around. And you're just like, boom.
Fucking,
Because we've
tough
seen
life.
what it can become.
Yeah.
you got fucking iced in a back alley and crammed into a box.
But like, it's
Unlucky.
like you saw someone selling poppies and you just shot them in the head because you know it can become
We do that
something
too.
bad.
Yeah.
If you're
Oh
if
my
you're selling
God, Girl
opium,
Scout.
yeah.
cookies for fucking charity.
Boom!
What I want to ask is, I think Hugel already has an idea, or Swale, whatever we're gonna call him, Swaggle.
Swaggle.
Swale. Swaggle.
Go on, get it out.
No, it's okay.
What are you going to
Fucking
say?
idiot.
I realized I forgot to do something I was planning on doing for a while, and I'm a fucking idiot. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
What?
Don't worry.
No, now we're worried.
Now
No,
I'm invested.
I forgot to ask what name I was calling him. Because he's Jiggle Swale. I was gonna, and then everything happened, and I fucking forgot.
We're going to
again.
probably have one.
Like,
Eventually, we're going to probably have one
sessions in a row.
more.
I keep forgetting.
It happens.
Yeah,
Why
well,
not
Hugo
both?
never got to even explain his name in the end.
Yeah.
Like, it never really was even pushed or asked.
Well,
him.
there's still like time for that.
Oh, it still will.
for us
probably.
anyway,
Mm.
like because we just played that last episode of the season. There's still time for us as players to add that into the next time.
Yeah.
When we all go on the road and shit.
Well, he's
like
not done
that.
yet. He's still.
Yeah.
He's got one more thing to do.
And I'm sure we'll see like a little blip in time of when Hugel without the party returns to Potts Hollow and reunites with
Oh,
Petunia and
definitely.
has
Yeah.
a wedding that they'll obviously hold off.
Oh
until.
yeah.
Oh, you're
I was gonna say at the very end of the campaign, everyone gets wedding invitations in the mail. It happens.
A new dress? Did you say?
What I want to ask is, oh boy, what
I
I
don't get to be best man.
That's on
can-
you.
Yeah.
Shut up.
what I want to ask.
That'll be the next sending that you get. Don't worry. Like, I know you said don't message.
What I want to ask is, because obviously when you were at when Hugo was at the Deadlands, you saw some pretty heinous shit, like
Yep.
with like the constant influx of undead, and now learning after, which won't be spoilers for anyone watching this, after the battle with Cataract, the learning that like him, like his breath weapon smiting the fucking barbarians as an example brought them back in like this weird mutated way just because it was sheer force of like his power. Like Hugo knew it was already bad from the jump. But Voyage, where you're from, like where Voyage was from, they're like it's been alluded to that Vassal is the biggest nation in the world, but it's actually like really behind the curve as far as like arcane sizes.
Yeah,
and
we're
stuff.
aware of that.
They've chosen, but they've
Losers.
chosen to be like that. They don't want to fucking become the next big thing like that. They're very, it's kind of a simple way of life. But obviously, that's why there's like threats of civil war on the thing that were alluded to by your father. How does that feel coming from, your place where it's like, oh yeah, you're like he traveled around the country. He would have seen heaps of bits of Bazaar in the capital cities and stuff, and it was like, this is cool. Never seeing anything like that. Like, sure, there are still drugs and stuff, but not to the caliber of what Riftglass Astral does. What do you think that felt like for him? Same thing, getting out of the city, getting into the city, seeing how fucking bad it was, then leaving again, being like, oh, finally I'm away from that shit, just to see that it was that far out. For the person that had never seen it before, that's what I want to know.
Look, I'll go so far as to say, going back, you look back at the voyage from the beginning. You look back at the voyage from the beginning, happy-go-lucky lad who's had his bubble. This poor fucker who believes the world is sunshine and roses has had probably the fastest and most violent wake-up call of his goddamn life without losing a family. From fucking undead dragon to the bagman to this fucking weirdo with a cart in a fucking wedding ring who suddenly has possession over one of our party members.
What did you say? I'll never call him dad.
I'll never call him stepdad.
It was
Never
one of
gonna-
you two.
I'm never gonna fucking call him stepdad.
Oh, fuck me. Oh,
Or
Yeah.
a camp.
oh, now I have to worry about that now.
Yeah.
Where he tries to win Voyage over here. He's like, I love you, son. You're a good kid, Voyage.
Couch out the front yard.
Holy fuck.
I've got enough dads.
You do. You've got two dads. Crazy. And you've almost got a third.
Yeah, fucking hey. I don't need that.
Are you adding a meme?
Yep.
Oh, oh wow. We're gonna have to talk about that later at some point. So
That's
we
being
move
glued
on
in my
from Spy and Nest and the introduction of like how far Rift, and that also ties into that original Rock Eater fight. The mining site that you guys found Pat at and the Rock Eaters was a Grimwell's mining site.
Maybe Pat's infected.
Dun, dun.
It's why he's growing so quickly.
It's alright, he'll get his vaccinations and he'll be fine.
Is there that like cry like that meme of Wesley Snipes with the gun? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's giving I Am Legend. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't do that.
I didn't do that. You did that.
No, Mon.
I'll do what needs to be done to protect this family.
lost dog. I don't need to lose
So whenever I'm zeroing out, I've got to do this.
Yes. Yes.
I was gonna go like this. I was like, oh, well, hang on.
Hey, we'll get to that bit of the arc.
I know deep down I still love you.
Stop it! You're making me meme. We move from Spy's Nest to Woodsgate, which is the town on the edge of the Pottswood. Which, funny enough, Pottswood is what the locals of Potts Hollow call it, but like no one else calls it that because they're not a part of the village. They don't know. You know what I
Do we
mean?
have a name for it in the world?
No. You guys call it the Pottswood.
Yeah.
It's just the woods.
Well, it's all of our maps are drawn by Hugel.
yeah.
That our players all use and stuff. So he just knows it as that. So that's what it would be referred to by him. And on all of all the maps that we use or we've put up ever or anything, the concept has been that Hugel is drawing these as he explores the world. Which is
Very
why
fun.
Which
town
is so
names
cute.
only get added once we've been there.
And when there's new positions that get opened up, like a checkboard on a game.
Yeah.
It's been fun. You guys, obviously, we get through Woodsgate. You learn about there was some information dropped with one of the fishermen, I believe, possibly about. Oh no, it was in
One of the
Woodsgate where you guys
traders.
heard about the witch in the woods.
Yeah.
Going a bit psychopathic. And then once crossing through the interlocking oak trees called the Druid's Gate, thus where the term Woodgate came from. That's when we had an interaction with with the Grave Witch, which was like
no, that wasn't her name.
what? Oh, the Grave Bitch.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I hate it here.
I can't have shit in this
We
metaphysical.
got the Grave
dimension.
Bitch, Cataracts.
I fucking cannot win.
Possum cat.
That's a great name.
Then
Possum
pigeon
I
and
said
rat.
Possum cat.
Fucking what was
Possum cat.
the bar's name?
Every
Oh,
nook
every
and
nook and
cranny.
I noticed there was another
Or tavern, I
one
should say.
game or something recently where I don't know what one it was, but you're like, oh, a tavern, and instantly you threw a name out there. I'm like, oh, he learned.
I think. Wait,
I
did I
wanna say
not call one of the
17
taverns
years
the
ago.
Rusty Hook?
Yeah, that was it in Grasswall
Grasswall
Submerged.
Submerged.
Because I was re-editing that run recently and rewatching it. I'm like, oh, he threw that name in there real quick.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm not letting these fuckers make
The other funny
anything.
thing is, if I remember correctly, Marco many moons ago made the joke, and it's stuck with me ever since. I knew I'd call it that, but I believe Rusty Hook is where like you stick a finger up someone's butt and hook.
Oh, so it was still filthy. Perfect.
But no one clicked onto it, so I was just
No,
let
you
it
said
slide.
it so quick that
It's the sister tavern of every nook and fanny.
Oh
this
wait,
is
no, I might have
Rusty
lied. I think it was called
Trombone.
the Bait and Tackle. I can't even remember anymore.
It's
it
in
was
there
something
somewhere.
that made sense to
Correct.
It's
the
so
location.
Simply
fucking
wrong.
stupid. I'm
But I
just
giggled to
basically-
myself. I'm like, oh, he's learned. He needs names for these places.
Yep, I just and I love the fact that in the recap, Georgia made the thing to say,
Yeah.
what is it,
Ambiguously named bar. Had to. Little joke.
Superpowers.
You've probably also noticed that as our games become more and more
Thank you.
unhinged, there's more and more snacks on the table.
There's so much going on. Cataracts is right there in
Yeah.
the
It's
For
dice tray.
emotional support
Right.
reasons.
Damn, you
Um,
unwell.
But yeah, then I came back into
Yeah.
contact with my cause of anxiety.
I was so happy when it got to the point where I was like, yes, I'm going to do this Grave Witch fight. This is what it is. And I remember Georgia and I speaking at length about where would be a healthy point to bring Petunia in. And I remember we were literally coming up like the week leading up to the weekend. I was like, hey man,
Yeah.
would Petunia travel outside the limits of the village at all in wake of Potts Hollow being ransacked and the village is coming? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, excellent. Guess what? I need you here this weekend.
I just got the biggest deja vu, and I'm getting more deja vu because I'm mentioning the deja vu.
And I'm getting even more deja vu. I'm so predictable.
In another life,
we
we
get
had
a
that
That's So
conversation.
Raven?
Oh, yes! What a reference! Okay, that's so Raven zoom in. Oh, that's such a good reference. Wow.
Fuck.
But
a Disney Channel kid.
the Grave Witch fight was something that I looked forward to as a whole because it was cool to introduce for me as the DM. It was cool to introduce an enemy being like, here's an enemy. Then their plight wasn't even directly correlated to the story. It was just to hammer home how fucking bad it gets when shit goes unchecked. Like her whole thing is she just, the ground eroded. There was these tar pits underneath, and the tar pit is just like bad shit, bad energy. And because she was there all the time, because she protected the grove, she just gradually fell into. And now that I look at it, it's kind of like a weird reflection of like the terminology where like people that are constantly around the drug abuse of others will eventually fall into drug abuse, which is something I unfortunately have had to witness and endure in my own life. It was very much something like that, where it's like you try the best you can to be good, but eventually you will crack. It's just a human condition. We can only do it for so long. And then you guys come in and just fucking start a blast, and it was a whole.
So I start blasting.
And then play. It was that was fun, insane fight. And then Petunia eventually little legs sprints out of the woods, and then in she came to the world. What was that like? Let's get everyone's insight about the introduction of by this point our second guest on the campaign, and a very key player to a backstory element.
Well, I remember when you first asked, you're like, do you mind if we have someone come in and play, a major part of your backstory? And I was like, I can throw it at me. Then you text me like a week later going, she can cry on cue. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I cannot these days.
Hey, I think there was a couple.
It was sometimes, yeah.
Huh?
Hey, look, a strawberry.
Here's one As someone who watches and has enjoyed the show, what was it like joining the party?
It was wild. Because, like, at that point, I think I'd played with you two 3 times, and I'd seen you guys once, and that was for the Undying League game. So it's the first time, like, playing with these characters specifically, and I've been watching it for yonks at that point. So I'm like, oh, I know these details. Trying not to metagame my way through it, and just being involved is wild. And, like, there were so many, like, drops and reveals and character shit. I'm like, I don't think I'd be here for this. I have to react. It was very fun, though. I had a very, very good time. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being here.
I'm glad I stole you from that other campaign that we played together. I was like, hey, and I remember I messaged you and like you weren't on Facebook as often.
No, I wasn't.
So I messaged your brother and I was like, tell your sister to fucking respond to my message.
In my defense, I was at work at the time. I got off work and it was like messages. And I'm like, oh shit. Because it was like, oh, he's leaving the campaign. Hey, do you want to come be in this guest? I'm like, yes, I do.
Oh,
It was
that
really
was
funny because you were like the go-between at first. So
Yeah.
I'd get a lot of questions about Hugo's life, and obviously the information's coming over here. But as we discussed, there were things that I thought were being told that to you, but like the letter, I gave that to Cody, kind of anticipating that it would go to you, but he had other plans. So having this go-between, and until we actually sat down and played as them for the first time, we didn't know what information had been
had been swapped.
brought back.
this is where I'm gonna mitigate this next section because there's a lot to unpack. What I want to do first is I really want to discuss that whole argument in the house when you guys got back to the village. I want to get some insight on that, and then if I've got some questions for you guys that I want to ask because there's a lot that I have for you.
We talked about this on the drive home.
We did.
We were still playing up at your place at this point, so we had like a 45, 50 minute
Like an
drive
hour.
back because we just carpool because we're on the opposite end of the state. No,
Yeah.
it's two cities away, but we had a good chance to like really debrief that. And by the end, we're like, what did we even say?
Yeah, it was...
We were just so lost in that moment that we couldn't even remember half of the shit that we were saying.
It does get like that.
And both was like, we had so many pre-planned things that I was ready to
didn't
throw
use
this
it.
out.
That shit goes out the fucking window.
And gone. And it all just became off the cusp.
Yeah. a
Like,
lot
I
of it
felt
was-
like I was getting in trouble from my girlfriend. It was one of those.
Yeah, I felt that too. I was watching her cuss you out and I was all like, I shouldn't be seeing this. I feel like I've walked in on mum and dad arguing that I'm going to get a flogging because I accidentally saw it. I made eye contact. Oh, fuck.
Don't look a predator in the eye.
Yes.
But let's I want to shine a bit of light on possibly one of the coldest fucking bits of dialogue I've ever had the pleasure to witness. Do you know what it feels like being the other woman in your own relationship?
Oh,
Still to this
yeah.
day, I think it's one of
That's
the
the name of the
hardest-
episode.
Yeah.
It is one of the hardest lines of dialogue.
Yeah,
I've
well
ever
done.
heard.
I'm so glad it hit spot because I only had that realization like a week before playing. I'm like, oh shit, she would feel that way. I can use that.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other woman. Or however the TikTok noise goes. I don't know, I'm not a professional singer.
Now, what I want to ask the trouble trio on this side of the table.
Yeah, that's fuck you right back, isn't it? I want to ask you something.
So maintain eye contact.
You're gonna get locked. You're locked in the car with me for an hour.
No, you're locked in the car with me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you're going to be locked in the car with more
I'm gonna let the sickest fart rip and just suffocate this motherfucker. Lock the window.
The next video we release on it is going to have like an in memory of Bailey at the very end.
Bailey's
Good
going
thing I wrapped
greener
up
than
Voyage, huh?
Oh.
Again!
So
Sorry.
when Zero Zephyrus and Voyage were kind of like in tow going into Potts Hollow, seeing the tenseness of the conversation, and then going in, with like all the things that Hugo had said about Potts Hollow being, as pretty as it was and being so naturally beautiful, this and that, and then seeing the real state of affairs, and then literally being one door between the worst roasting of all time, like the most intense roasting of all time, and then being on the other side. What was that like for your characters? And for you guys as players witnessing that in the long run, what was that like?
I'd like to interject here and say, fuck, that was hard. Fuck, that was hard. From Voyager's perspective, the friend he'd made who showed extreme remorse for all the bullshit that had gone down in his life was being dragged over the coals again, and there was nothing he could physically do about it because it wasn't his battle to fight for.
And he just
Yeah, motherfucker.
you
In all
deserved everything
fairness-
you got.
In all fairness, yes. But did Voyage know the full extent? Purely believes all his friends are great people.
Mm.
Yes.
That was a fun thing that sort of was coming out. Is like Hugo had put hints at the history or whatever, but the full story hadn't, because like he
Yeah.
couldn't even admit it.
Yeah,
sort of
Because
thing.
that's the thing too. I think Zeph's quite similar to Voyage in that matter, where whatever information was given to them, they took that and basically put Hugel on a pedestal and was like, must protect. And then Hugel starts getting yelled at, and then Zeph's like,
That was such a fun dynamic. Though.
yeah. And then when Zeph realized that, oh, Hugel didn't know, Zeph's just like, well, I'm so fucking sorry. Oh, I fucked up.
Oh, that interaction with Zeph and Petunia at the apothecary, being
Mm.
like, if my mum had seen me act like that, she would have smacked me, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was so fucking heartbreaking to watch. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You guys are so good at this game. Guys just been itemizing these stickers on
Can
camera.
I have that?
Uh,
one?
which
Yeah,
one?
The far one.
There's a
Yeah.
thing now where we're just
Thank you.
getting
Meme
piles
stickers.
of meme stickers or D&D stickers.
I have
Sorry,
a
I started
Starian.
We're covering things in stickers.
I got some dungeon
I
Master
need a
ones
sticker
here.
book.
Awesome.
Needs
Now,
to
what I
know.
want
Oh
to
yeah, well,
ask
I'm starting to add
Zero.
stickers to my
Yeah.
notebooks to
Yeah.
represent it.
What I want to ask is, of all the characters in this interaction, we have Zeph and Voyage have the very sad yet honorable concept of watching their friend, who again, they have him on this pedestal because they only knew what he had told them. What's it like playing a character who is a mother to 3 children, where each of her children have gone through their different turmoils, also having a husband who left his family in the dust of his own accord, coming in to see that? What was that like?
In terms of like what had happened between them two, it was, I think it was somewhere very separate in terms of like where Zeph and Voyage went mentally. It was this situation I understand as a whole, and I think that saddened her that she had such an insight to where Hugel was coming from and why he had done what he had done, because like the person that she is without the motherly attachment saw the like, I fucked everything up, so I'm gonna leave so I don't fuck it up even more, and so like understood sort of, even though it wasn't probably the right thing to do, understood the thought process behind that and the emotional turmoil that would have caused. And then the mother in her fully sympathized with Petunia, where in her most vulnerable moment, when the dust settled, it was just her standing there alone and having to go through all the mitigation of that grief without the person there that would understand it the most. And so she kind of just felt heartbreak for them as a couple, and was really rooting for them from day one to be able to come back stronger for it, because in a more selfish, in introspection, she will never get that. Whilst she's now legging out on a journey to get back her son, which is something they'll never be able to do, she also is going to miss a part of a similar dynamic where she'll never get her first husband back. He's gone, and he's gone for good. And so she understands that you try to put as many pieces back together as you can, but there's always going to be a part that's missing. And so it was just, she really related to them both and really wanted to see them come out the other end as a unified front once more.
Yeah. Cool. Man, it's hard to watch on this side, being the guy that like writes the story and runs goes through the adventure. Being like, here's what happens. You fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
And then watching it all unfold, I'm not gonna lie, you go back and watch the last couple of episodes when we started the Potts Hollow arc. I'm sitting in the back, kind of slinking in my chair a bit. It's like, I might have made a bad call here, Chief. Like, I'm fucking throwing some real hard shit at people. But
The amount of times you cover your face with the book.
I know, I'm just like, it's just a testament to how well you guys, all of you, how well you understand your characters and their motivations and understand how, because sometimes I've seen it in certain where sometimes characters have these deep set fucking character flaws and designs, and I've seen it on like big actual play shows as well, where sometimes they have these glaring character flaws, and then in a moment where it just seems like they will do the thing that is the character flaw because that's what we built up to.
Yes.
It doesn't happen. But I didn't get that with this. I saw this really good natural progression of change, like Zephyros apologizing for their outburst against Junior. That absolutely is, as being young once myself. You do that. You fuck up, you blow up, you sit on it for a night, and you sleep, and you wake up, and you're like, I made a bad call. Now I need to go own up and fix it. Voyage being in the position where he's like, I don't know how to help, so I'm just going to chill out here and wait for someone to ask me, especially my friend who's currently getting yelled at by his ex-missus. It was a very natural progression that I watched unfold, and it's just a testament to you guys as a whole and how well you play your characters. It was just something phenomenal. I feel bad for everyone else, not like knowing that they'll never get to experience what I experience every fortnight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel.
Like, I know one thing, like that first like double session and then that drive home, both of us were like, we feel kind of bad, like we overrode the session. But it's also because it was the first time I've ever played out my arc ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first table playing, so playing out my own arc, it's like part of me felt like I'm like be handing it back, but it's also like this is the moment of closing this story. So it's like you need to do
100%. No,
it's
never.
a really interesting
Yeah.
because you want to share time at the table and everything, but in some moments it's like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
You gotta look at it like a show. Like
yeah.
there are gonna be times in the show where like the camera, you know, pans and it focuses on a certain struggle that a particular character's going through, and people want to know. They want to see that under a finer microscope, not happening in the background with other stuff. And it really brings the themes of it to light. And you know,
and
like
these fights had to happen.
yeah.
I definitely got a lot of that as well. Because being a guest player on this thing, I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to be taking up as much time. But and then it's like the first sitting happened. It's like, cool, we got through most of the fights. That'll be that. I won't have to like take full. And then the next session, it was the argument with her dad.
No, never feel like that. Never feel like that.
I
We
loved
loved
that
watching
after
it.
that first
God.
session, or during that like first argument, the realization on my face, you probably can see it at some point when I'm like, fucking Cody never gave you the letter. Like, not just in my mind, it wasn't, oh, your dad never gave it to Petunia. I'm like, Cody never gave it to Georgia. Like,
Motherfucker.
quick interruption, sorry if there's weird movie sounds coming from upstairs. As the roommates drink more and more, the movie seems to get louder.
Always, but we're also pretty loud. So
Yeah, we're fine.
That brings a good question, which is something that we asked Josh when he was on as well. What was it like designing a character and coming into playing it, knowing that it's a short form thing? You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be a full campaign run where it's like you'll get 10 or 11 episodes in.
Yeah.
That kind of deal.
Well, I was sitting on it for about 11 months before we played it, which was great for me because I got her as
I did ask you very early on.
Yeah, because I got her as a pre-made like scaffold kind of situation of this is their whole backstory. You can't change that, but you can change like details from a certain point. I don't think I did. It was like, here's their backstory, here's their race, here's their classes, have fun. And having that long to sit on it and really like expand. It started out as like really playing it safe. It's like, oh, this is like how it should be, blah blah blah. And then the longer I had to think on it, the more I'm like, actually no, fuck that guy. There's a problem. And then it developed out to where it was. And going in, it's like I knew she was a short form character. I knew that in my heart of hearts, I did. But then playing her and seeing her fully realized, and then having different story beats show up that I wasn't anticipating, I wasn't expecting, and then getting all this development, I'm like, I have to let her go.
Well, I'm in the same, like I said, this moment, it really feels like poetic that this will be the sunset for Hugel. Like, he's got this last little leg to go help with, but he is staying home. Like, it would have gone different if the relationship had gone different when they came back, and we even discussed at the start. There was no anticipation of we're making them work this out. We're going to see what happens and let this just evolve naturally.
The way, honestly, half the reason it worked out so well is because of how you played people. Like, I don't think you could have done it better. Not because that was the end of your capacity, but because you played him so perfectly. There was next to no room for improvement there. Yeah.
But no, it felt like this feels like a poetic moment for Hugo's story to make sense that he'll stay home. And there's good way, I have plans that could bring him back further down the line, and he might come back in and out depending on how the campaign continues after this, obviously. But there's that part of me now that's like I don't want to lose Hugo, but it makes sense that he stays. This point of this game is a story. We're telling a story together, and that story, his story, is going to be done here. He will go north, help you with that thing, and then it makes sense for his story to come back home.
Yeah.
For whatever period of time, if he then rejoins the party for certain things or whatever later on, we'll figure out. Yeah. Oh, I have plans. But for now, it's what makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm losing the character that I love.
Yeah.
I've played this. This is my first character, and I've now played him for 2 years. I'm in his skin,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's just gonna be over there. I'll be playing a very different character.
I think it's tricky though, because you do get attached to characters that you spend a lot of time building, and I knew there was a lot of things built into Google that when we started prepping for this campaign. But it's at the end of the day, it's like you said, this feels like what he would do, and if that is what it is, then so be it. We will work it out and we will go with it.
I can only imagine how rough it will be for people having a character die multiple years into a campaign.
Yeah.
Because it's not you get to have a poetic end moment. Because even if Hugel had died with the dragon, like I sort of said at the end, that to me would have been a poetic. He would have gone home, gone his forgiveness, and died trying to save his home.
Yeah.
So while that
I tried.
Sad, I know you fucking did. While it would have sucked that he's gone forever, it would have worked.
Yeah.
It would have been equally as poetic.
Yeah, but if he just died against the Rock Eaters or something, just outside of Potts Hollow, it'd be like, ha! Well, fuck.
Well, look, you were close to Potts Hollow. You could have dragged him in there and tried to get him or something. Someone just keep punching him in the chest so his heart keeps beating and he technically didn't die.
But yeah, all up, I think it was awesome having another player there too. And someone like you came in great with the role play too.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do the role play. We know that. Our table is so heavy on it, so you come
This
in
is the first
strong.
table I've played at that was roleplay heavy.
And we are
every other
roleplay
table
heavy.
I've played at, it's like, yeah, we do roleplay.
There
do,
is no
6-hour
story
sessions with no
without roleplay.
It's just so much
It's called a tabletop role-playing game.
It's
for a reason.
Roleplay RPG.
And particularly, I
Roleplay
think
game.
an actual play, if it was just all combat, wouldn't hit
Yeah.
the
It's just
same.
I definitely think that that's the heavy-handed preference here, which works for us and it works for our table. That we totally understand, the space of people who do prefer those combat-heavy sessions. That absolutely rocks the socks for some people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think at this table, I think there's definitely been a very obviously well-witnessed preference for heavy role play.
We all like to not be ourselves.
Yeah.
We want to just disappear for a while.
There can be catharsis in exploring a story that sometimes isn't just rolling dice, hitting numbers, killing shit. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I love every character I've ever built has had some sort of specialty for combat. It's just what I play as first. But I also like using that as my influence for my characters. I say charisma not in the sense of stat, but in the sense of interaction with other characters, which has always been really fun. Sky was there for one of those games where I got to play Rainer, the Illrigger, and he was the real forked-tongue devil kind of roleplay. But we didn't get a lot of roleplay with that because that wasn't the DM style.
Yeah.
But it was still super fun to use it in certain instances. I really like how we do the combat is an accentuate of the story.
Yeah.
Not the role play accentuates the combat the other way around. You know what I mean? It's we've kind of got that God of War 4 reboot style where it's like,
We're
like
playing a
they-
cinematic game. You know,
We're
you
playing
make choices.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing the cinema.
immediately put it on
Um,
storytelling mode.
But yeah, like I think
Whole
having
extras
you
out.
there, like as much as you fucking rock every character you play,
Mm.
bringing a different aspect in for such a key character, like it's so different because like having you that plays every character is one thing, but when I've got someone that is that
Wholly
part,
and
there's like
solely,
that's
yeah.
it, and that's what you're playing. It makes that whole interaction work on a different level. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and boy, howdy did she take over my head. But I'm really glad that you like the way that I played Petunia because that was my biggest worry for ages because I didn't meet you for months after I started making this character.
the first time we talked about it was on the drive up to that game.
Pretty much,
And I
yeah.
remember sort of saying to you, because you're like, oh, what about this? I'm like, after they went, you can play her however you
Yeah.
want.
Poor
Like,
fucker, I had a list of questions. I'm like, okay, we're going through trivia today.
That's actually a good point. I remember there was something so specifically that you did when we did your session 0 because I'm getting into the habit now that whenever I have friends come in, whenever we have friends on the show to come in and play guests,
Mm.
I'll do session 0 for them to randomly set up the character. And we did one for Petunia, and the thing that made me, which was impressive to watch, was in the session 0 there was an interaction where your dad was trash talking Swale, and you jumped to Swale's defense very quickly, and that's not how Petunia played out when he was actually there. There was a little bit more like, oh, like what happens now?
When I remember that moment, I remember very clearly. A lot of that was her jumping to his family's defense because he was talking the whole family.
That's
So it was
true,
them
yeah.
and him by extension. It's like I'm not going to join you on talking shit about people, especially ones who have been good to me. So,
It was
but by extension, he was involved in that. But I think having him face to face, very different scenario.
Yeah.
Than,
I
Yeah.
do regret not interacting with the family as much in Pots Hollow, but it just, the way things played, there wasn't time to just go off and hang out with them.
there was the way that I had it prepped up because I had all your family's like stats and stuff put aside in the book. The way I had it planned out was they were characters that had particular proficiencies and skill sets that could perhaps help you if you guys just wanted to ask them questions. But a lot of it was internally you guys were solving your own problems, and the only other person who became a core point of reference was Dushka because she was the boss of the people that weren't meant to be there. Which, you know, it kind of goes the way it goes.
Because of what was going on. It wasn't just a welcome home, come let's hang out with the family and see how it goes. It was like, oh, there's shit going on here.
yeah,
And we have the means to help. Like, so
priority pick.
yeah, there's that part. Like, I know I get like it when something is like there's a problem. It's like, oh, the emotion stuff kind of goes down. It's like, how can we solve the problem? Then we'll come back to this later.
Yeah. Yeah. Real. I want to ask you guys as far as Zavaris Zero and Voyage. In the way, it's kind of be a gloss over of the entire arc before I go back in and we re-highlight some key points that I'd really like to get your insight on. Do you feel like any of the three took anything away as people? You know, going into Potts Hollow and now being on the tail end of getting ready to leave. Like, you know, have they taken things with them that will like change how they act or what they do? What do you guys think? Has there been any huge difference made to the personality of your characters?
She took her own arm with her.
Damn.
I think for Zero personally, which I feel is like a bit sad, is that because of everything that's happened, her mentality is literally, this is what happens when I leave the city. This is what happens when I leave my stomping ground. I'm never leaving the city again.
Hey, that's how agoraphobia starts.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah. No, literally, like this whole like arc for her has been like, I am a creation of my environment. I have habitually evolved in the city. I do not have the mental and skill set evolution, I guess, to handle myself outside of that city. And if I continue much longer out of here, I will surely die. So she's definitely going to be scampering back to the city as soon as she possibly can. It's been a bit of a slap in the face of an experience for her. Happy that she could help her friends, but
It's kind of you were the big fish in a small pond, and then you realize how big the rest of the ocean
Yeah.
is and what's out there. Like, you know, fucking dragons.
yeah.
Like, really, we went to the top of the hole right there, didn't we?
You climbed the ladder to the top of the food chain and then rode the chain down.
I just find it ironic how like Zero was the most against fighting the dragon and the most reluctant, and she was the only one who walked away from that
Yeah.
missing a limb.
Yeah.
That mindset.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. I want to put some insight in that because I feel like I may have not I touched on it. The reason I looked at it, I was like, Zero would be the one to cop the major injury is because all the physical attacks, his
Yeah.
tail and his bites, were always on her
Yeah.
because
She kept putting herself in the.
That's
position.
what that's
Yeah.
what she wanted to do. Yeah, like she didn't want to be there 100%. Like she's never seen anything like this fucking dragon before. Like sure, she's heard fucking pish posh stories that she thinks are all fucking load of baloney, and then being confronted with such a creature of such size and aggression, and you know, like it was just a fuck. Like I need to protect my kin. Like I don't care if this does me in, but I'll be damned if like I've dragged, you know, like well, obviously we've left for other reasons, but I'll be damned if I drag these people along and they fucking cark it right before me when I could have done something. So she just literally went into meat shield mode.
And meat shield mode did indeed happen.
Yes.
My name is Zero. You're probably wondering how I ended up here. What about the dynamic duo? The siblings.
I think at first, with leaving the city, Zeph would have been a little bit excited seeing things and everything like that. But as more shit started to happen, it was very much like, I am not safe. I'm actually terrified, but I won't show it to anyone because that's not my shit. I don't show when I'm scared. Instead, I eat it for breakfast.
You
You know?
use a shit for breakfast.
Yeah. You came out of the womb with a knife.
And especially with like confronting the dragon, it's very much like Zero, like only hearing stories about it, never seeing one before in real life. And then to just be like basically thrown into the mouth of it and just be like, you gotta kill it now. And it's like, I love you guys, but really? Do I have to? I'm not a magic user. All I have is knives. What the fuck are knives gonna do?
Fucking Drax. Oh!
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
Lord
isn't it?
Ramsay over
Yeah.
chefing their way to the top.
Yeah.
But I think taking away from the whole experience, I think their relationship are probably quite strained at the moment. Especially with Voyage leaving. It'd be another one of those cases where it's very much like Zero, but not in the kids section. It's more of like, my friends always leave me at some point. That's why I work alone. And so I feel like their mentality will kind of go back to when they were under Mr. K, where it's like, get the job done alone. Don't rely on or lean on anyone else because something's going to fucking happen. They're going to fuck off. So.
Oh, we are.
Voyage, fuck.
Really?
Yeah, if
Couldn't
that
tell.
wasn't clear.
Can we add like the neon sign out over where it's like hates Faye?
Yeah.
But look, at the end of the day, if he took anything away from what's occurred within the span of Potts Hollow, dragons are just as bad as Fae. Fae aren't that bad all of the time, just most of the time. They pick poor career off. Thank you for using the correct.
Wow, the disrespect.
I do not want to get killed in this crossfire.
Civilian casualties happen all the time.
Yeah.
I'm using my
I'm not a
sister as
civilian.
meat shield. You could say he's left a little bit short-sighted.
Wow.
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 But look, he's not sunsetted. He's not. He'll be back. Not yet. He needs him alone. The big boy thing.
You know what? I'm going to hurt your feelings, both of you, and probably the rest at the table as well. Zeph feels like it's their fault that you're leaving because they are Fae.
Oh.
And this is as a player, right?
Yeah.
But Zeph is the only one that you did not say a fucking word to when you left as Voyage.
It's just not in the language you understand. What did you say again?
Be good.
You just heard. What's the
I got 2 words.
Whipsy,
I
wanna
didn't get a
two.
sentence. I heard Simlish.
Oh yeah. Give it a minute.
You're a strong, independent bad bitch. You'd be right.
Give it up.
Dag dag.
I have a question about that. Was this something you were planning for a while, or is this as a direct result of the dragon fight?
Direct result of the
Yeah.
dragon fight. Now look, I think I covered for the fact that my dice were cards really well.
Yes, you did. You did. You played that really fucking
Oh.
well.
You played it off smooth.
Yeah.
This is how the
That was
dice
so
affect the
fun.
story, though. Like,
Yeah,
the story changed, and you have to pivot accordingly.
yeah, because look back on it, Stavacander. Not one of my attacks hit with that bow.
Mm.
This was supposed to be an overarching story plot for Voyage, and I couldn't land a hit. What the
Yeah.
fuck do you do with the character story beat when you can't land a hit because your dice are... Insert roll noise here.
You make a new one.
Allowed
Hugo had a
8
whole
times.
motivational thing ready for you, along the lines of what I texted you.
Yeah.
Ready to try and be like, it wasn't about that. Your mission brought together a group of people that got to do the thing to get, it's not just about that weapon doing the thing. It's a bigger arc.
And then I got a message back saying, "Don't worry, you made it better."
Yeah, I like what he did with the dragons. But Hugo, that's why he wanted to talk to you. That's why
Yeah.
he was ready. But it
Additionally,
not happening is great because Hugo, as well, as they're going to be like, fuck, I hope he's okay. But like I said earlier, Hugo gets it, and it kind of reflects his own thing of that, someone whose world just went from being all, look how great everything works out, to not working out and kind of breaking.
to follow that point, just to give you some insight on Voyager's perspective on Hugel at the moment, with Petunia returning, Bro's lost his frat brother to his. He doesn't have the rock to lean on anymore because he's got bigger problems to deal with. So he's just got to go back to taking care of himself like he did way over. Zero doesn't have an arm. Zeph is clearly mortified by that. They've got each other. You two have each other. Do I? Dog was a spirit. Dog was something I have complete control over. He does not have free will. Sure, there's Val. But when was the last time Val called first?
It also, while you guys have had like a quick passion or whatever, it's you've only known each other for a few days before you went off. Like, that's that summer romance sort of thing. Like, yeah, great,
Summer
but
loving.
it can only.
Had me a blast.
Yeah, like there's
I can see
only-
the two of them singing that.
There's only so
Val
much
back
I
in the
can
city,
joke about
voyage
having
out
a
in the
husband.
mountains, and the cut between the two sides. Yeah.
It's one of those things. As far as on like what's happening back home, it's just he basically can get up. He basically gets up, goes to work, and then goes home. And Gosrick walks him to and from like a guard dog because they're worried about getting hit in the street. So it's like, yeah, that makes complete sense. Like, why wouldn't he call first? But also in his brain, he's probably like doing the dumb young man thing and going, I'm sure he's fine. I've got shit I need to do.
I don't want to seem too eager. Gotta wait 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, in retrospect of that, I mean, Val as a character did get a lot put on his plate by the party before we left. We asked him to do a lot. And there's a lot that he's still following up on, regarding, and some of that is for Voyage. But you're right, the phone is 2 ways.
Yeah,
The phone is 2 ways.
definitely.
I just
be
hope you
getting
know
a
that
snack.
someone's not pleased with you for taking their one line of communication with their son.
Fully aware of that. Did that on
Ooh.
purpose.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Oh, they're gonna phone fuck. Cool.
As if they haven't.
Yeah.
We don't know what they were doing in the trees.
Oh, god damn it.
It just starts shaking. Oh, we're more. Oh, we're more. In the
See you with
so-
my
So we, before watching this, because these guys haven't actually seen the episode yet, I sent a screenshot to a couple, like to the main chat. I don't know if I have to you, but of the moment Oak got scooped up.
Oh, that was.
Hang on, I'll find the
so funny.
screenshot and
I
show
think
you.
Cody sent it to me.
Oh,
I
you
think I
did?
might have,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
I need to view it again.
Yeah, no. I need
Reinvigorate
So
your
the
brains.
moments are like on this side, you've got just shock, and I'm like, guys like me, we're both just jaws dropped. You're just kind of like, and you can see it in your face because you say it straight after that. You're like, I was sneaking up on him. Like, what happened to me?
Oh, man!
Look at that. We'll
Flop it up.
yeah,
Here.
we'll pop it up.
Mine looks like.
Like I said, the sheep.
That's
in
interesting.
Mom's mind, they're like approaching. Yeah. So what was it? Zeph. They're approaching the situation, sneaking up to do something. So you're probably in your brain like, did I?
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, huh? Heart palpitations.
Do you want to know what it is? It's the scene from The Boys where Huey's holding his missus' hands and the A train just fucking blitzes through
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and turns it into a pink
Just-
mist. That's
Yeah.
what it was. I kid you not. I came up with that whole sequence, I think, the day before that game. I've been struggling to figure out, like, what am I going to do? How do I introduce the next wave? And I was like, what's happened in the last two games? We've had two intense interactions where Oak has gotten more brash and more brash. And do you want to know what actually it got me to that level? Do you guys remember that movie Bridge to Terabithia?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember where the kid's running away because he's upset because his friend, she'd fallen into the river
Yeah.
and passed, and he's running from the woods, and in his imagination, that creature, that ring wraith, was always
Yeah.
following him, and then it ends up being his dad.
His dad.
That came to my brain in that moment, and I was like, because that's what it is. The whole movie, it builds up to it, like, you know, his dad's a fucking piece of shit, this and that. He doesn't care. He loves the daughter. He loves the younger sister more than he loves him, this and that. And then it finally catches up, and he goes, it's basically like, no, I do love you. I just don't know what to do because I wasn't shown how to be like, I believe it's been so long since I've watched it, but it's kind of like, I know I'm hard, but it's because I'm scared because I don't know what to do. So I don't react the way I should be, and I'm sorry. And there's this whole reconciliation between the father and the son. And that's where my brain went. I was like, in a roundabout way, as fucking cruel as he is, and what that thing that he said, what was it? He goes, if you had a child,
Yeah,
what was
one
it?
day you'll raise kids, then you'll understand.
Yeah, I was like, I had to be a cunt. I had to. He had to say something mean.
I've
So
said
it's
a
like
lot of
he-
mean
He
things.
means well. He's just so fucking bad. Like that's what the vibe I got at the end of it is. Like it all comes from a place of wanting to do what's right. He's just so fucking bad.
I've
at
seen
doing
it firsthand. There are some people that have children and they love their kids. They really do. But they are fucking terrible parents.
The road to hell is paved with good
Good
intentions.
intentions. Yes. It's exactly that. And him going out there was that last ditch attempt where he goes, I'm just gonna fucking try one last effort, and if she doesn't come with me, then I'm just gonna take her kicking and screaming because one day she'll thank me. That's where his brain went, you know what I mean? He's desperate. And I was like, and the running joke of like he uses thaumaturgy to yell because he's putting on his dad voice was something that I kind of just threw in there because I thought that was like, that's what he'd do. He's a prick. He would do that. Fucking oath. And I was like, that absolutely would attract a fucking dragon that's skulking about in the middle of the woods. And them getting up to that scene where he's crescendoing to this really big fucking insult, and then the fucking Catharax comes out of fucking sky and smites him. Shut up!
The
Son of a
faces,
bitch!
yeah, it says it all. It's a good moment.
It's
in
so
the game.
funny. I'm looking at it in real time right now.
But then
We're checking the
honestly,
box.
That led to one of what I think is one of my favorite moments story wise in the whole thing, which is how the funeral played out.
You okay?
Keep going.
Did it go down the wrong tube?
Yep.
You got a minute?
Aw.
But yeah, because that was like so collaborative. Everyone started just adding things in. Like we hadn't planned that, and that was a moment that I got to. I really think bring the town of Potts Hollow that I'd imagined.
Envisioned. Yeah.
It came so real.
Mm.
I don't know. That one got me. I really like that.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good scene. That was.
That was really not fun in the cruel sense. It's like I love reveling in others' misery, but in the sense it was like it just came together so smoothly that it almost felt like it was prepped, but it wasn't. And then poor Georgia bawling her fucking eyes out for about 30 minutes straight. Like,
When we were
Yeah,
watching
that
back
got
at
me.
the
all the
episode to
makeup
show
was
the
running, and I was
movie,
like, oh, it's gonna be so good on camera.
I think the wrong episode to check was the next one, and your eyes are just red, and Megan goes, "Oh no, why is she so sad?"
Why is she so sad? Oh, it was fucking. Oh god, that was sick. And then the build up to the fight with Patharax, it was like I don't know if it's I was seeing it differently or I was reading it differently, watching it for you guys, but it seemed like there was almost like this reluctance where it's like no one really wanted to like. It almost felt like the characters were like, no, we don't want to do this. This thing's fucking big and like scary. It was just fun to. It was just fucking.
Hugo had
Awesome
the
to see.
mission, like both from his god that he'd been. So in the like cutaway scene where you guys all left, and I spoke to matron again, I kind of got directly from the matron that it's my job to help. Like this is now my task is the Undead Dragon too. Like that's the reason that the party, as far as she said, like the whatever twists of fate that occurred to bring Voyage and Hugo together, this was a conjoined task. So like as much as he hated and didn't want to do it, he's like, I'm both protecting my home and this is the task. This is what all this shit has been for.
It was also. I think there was also something about where she said it's like the thing that you battle isn't the beast in the woods or something like that. It's like it was like saying it's like your grief is your worst enemy and you've never once approached it to get rid of it, which was like such a cool. It was so fun to look at it that way when I wrote that dialogue down, and I was like, it could fucking literally be what's the word you use? Allegory. It's very allegorical of like grief. Dragon, whoa! Now kiss, and like they could be the same thing.
The whole thing from Plot Solid, this entire thing has been this twist of both fighting a physical enemy, but also, facing that grief, coming back and dealing with something he had pushed down, and it became a physical thing of like they had to work through their argument together, that they had to go fight a dragon together as they were working through their shit. Like they literally had to.
Couples counseling's a joke.
Yeah.
Go with your partner that you're fighting with and fight a fucking crocodile.
There's a
Fight a chicken.
Go
They're
for
there's a
called
great
dragons.
story in
Never
that, like
forget
the
who you
allegory
are.
of the story. I think it's a Jordan Peterson thing, but it's kill the dragon while it's a baby, and it's talking about like relationships and stuff. Like you've got to squash the thing while it's small. But the story and the idea is if you don't go and kill the dragon while it's small and you leave it over there and you go, it'll be fine. It's going to grow into a fucking full-size dragon.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to be able to take that thing on. That's the grief. That's the circumstance that he had been through. Like they didn't squash it when it was small. He ran away and thought, we'll figure this out later. And it got big. But then that literally
Yeah.
fucking came out. And
Yeah. It was wacky.
yeah.
Like you were talking about with the have you watched the show and then coming on the amount of times, because I got the Petunia shit ages ago.
So you're
And
the
it's
only
just
one that
like-
knew about Swale, the name.
Yes, I did. But like watching back
Swaggle.
at like episode 6 or whatever, where you go to the library and it's like everyone's trying to hook him up with the librarian. I'm like, go home.
No!
And he's like, I really don't want to go past the pods. And I'm like, go see your family. What are you doing?
Go
Oh,
visit
that's
your
good.
goddamn
The
wife!
divorce came out of nowhere.
Oh,
Yeah, the librarian. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it came up again in
Felicity?
episode
Felicity
4.
Fidenza.
Yeah.
Yep. Which
She
was,
can hear everything in the library, so she hears the whole thing.
That's that was our friend Kat's character.
Yes.
From her cosplay character, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So on the really because we leveled up after the dragon fight, right? Hugo now has raised dead and could technically bring Oak back to life if he had the ingredients.
But we're not going to, are we?
He doesn't have the ingredients, but
What are the ingredients?
500 gold piece diamond.
I mean, I got the money.
Yeah,
We just need someone with the diamond.
We've
Well,
got
here's the thing, though.
A total of 10 days from his death, so probably only like 7 days now.
Here's the thing with that, though. I've thought
But
about
like
this
we
at
said,
length.
I don't know if he knows he's got that capability.
But no, here's the thing, though. We've spoken about this at length on several occasions. I personally feel like the Potts Hollow as a place and with the people that live there, I personally think they don't believe in it. I think they would be against resurrection because it goes against the natural
Yeah.
order of things. During the influx of sickness that took galaxy away, and it took a lot of the elderly and the young because they didn't have that kind of built immunity to it. They absolutely at some point could have gone out and taken every bit of funds that the town had and bought as many diamonds as they could, bring them back, but they chose not to do that for a reason. And that starts to follow in. It's like, where, if you've been raised somewhere for so long, where do you start looking at everything that you've been fed your whole life and go, I don't know if I believe that champion. I think I'm gonna fucking skedaddle.
The conversation that Hugo had with Zeph about the order of life, like that is what's hollow. You know, you die, you go back into the cycle. Like that's what it is. Like, but I will also admit, there's this little part of Hugo that wants to become powerful enough as a cleric to bring Galaxy back.
That's a dark fucking path to go down, man. That's Caleb Widogast. Fucking
Yeah, no, I don't think it's anything he would ever fully act on, but there is that part of it. Like, if I could get powerful.
Could you imagine what the fucking Queen of Corvus would do to you if you twisted fate like that, dude?
Well,
Because her domain is fate as well as death.
But yeah,
I
that's...
Zero would 100% encourage that. She'd
Yeah,
be like
I know.
over your shoulder. She'd be like,
It's something he
"What's
wouldn't even
God
admit
to
to
a
himself. But I know
non-believer?"
there's that part of me that, like, making the character knows that there's that little inkling in the deep recesses of Hugo's mind. What if?
You have far more self-control than I do.
I have had necromancy-based spells like Raise Dead from the get-go, and I've chosen not to use them because Hugo wouldn't, even though they would have really helped in a lot. So.
If I was in your shoes playing Hugel, I would have raised that bastard out of spite and kept him buried, so he can live out the rest of his life under the.
Well, I
fucking
could have just
ground.
kept him as a zombie under my control. I could have done that too.
Weekend at Bernie's that cut all
yeah.
home.
Yeah,
It would have
snip
been
the pillow,
so much
snip the
easier than
pillow.
carrying him home. Let's be honest. Like, I could have just walked him home. But that probably would
I
have
feel like that
traumatized.
funeral scene wouldn't have gone down as well. They were like, "Oh wow, Oak's acting." You know what it is? It's the 8-bit animation of Michael fucking Afton
Yeah.
after he gets scooped and fucking thing, and eventually he just goes, "Blah," and vomits out the fucking mangled fucking body. Fuck, that's fucked.
I just say that just did bring me up. Zeph's finding of the church.
Yeah, what?
Found religion.
Hold up, Chief.
I'm so proud.
You were cool, man. You used to be against the fucking. You used to be against it.
Not necessarily against it. I just like me personally when I create characters, unless their backstory, like has a basically space for a deity or some sort of like religion, then I will go for it. But a majority of the time, me personally, I pick characters and create characters that do not have a religion because I find it more interesting when they find it
They discover
in
it,
the story.
right.
And especially for Zeph, being from where they're from, having a religion, nah. No
Yeah.
point in doing that. What are you going to believe in when everything around you is shit? You believe in a god that's like making you go through all this stuff. Why? You know, and it's just like believing in fate and like all that sort of stuff. Zeph's just like, well, these gods, fate and all that, how dare you put me through this shit? Aren't you supposed to be protecting me? You know, but the Queen of Corvus is somewhat different for Zeph in how they've learnt about them through Google. Is essentially like because they are the goddess of death, Zeph's just like, well, I've fed you a lot of souls. So, and I think it's also their guilt that has played a part in believing in her. Because of like all the stuff that they've done previously hasn't been by their own moral
Compass.
yeah, it's been by someone else who's been pulling the strings. And now that the strings have been cut, Zeph can go back to the way that they believed that they should have been.
Yep.
I like it too as someone like as an assassin. Bugle, I think, straight away from seeing your interest was like, as someone who has dealt a lot of death and, you know, sees that dark side of it, trying to show you that it's not like death isn't just bad.
Yeah.
It's it's part of it.
Yeah.
Like we're all gonna die. It's the end of it. There is no changing that. Like
yeah. Whether it be by someone's hands, sickness, old age, it happens.
Fuck you, I'll live forever. Necromancer. I'll hook myself up to a car battery.
Mm.
But no, I like that though. I really do. I really do enjoy that. It was going from that scene in the church where Zeph was looking at the statue, and then going all the way, coming full circle to this moment, and then being a part of the funeral and having the reliquary that was made for you become part of such an important moment was really fun to watch unfold, and you see it like I could see it behind your eyes where there's this realization like this is who my character is now.
Yeah.
They found a purpose besides being a death dealer, and it's been wonderful to see. And really quickly, while Zeph's at the forefront of my brain, Zeph's conversation with Gostrick on the rock. What was it? What was it, Monica? What did Zeph say? For the people in the back.
Yeah. With that, like in that moment, me personally, like at first I didn't actually plan on it. But I think it felt like the right time for Zeph to say that. And definitely Zeph would be the first person to say it because Goss has no riz.
He's too much. He's too macho for that.
Yeah. But
Jeff
it'd
will sort that out
very
real
much be something where it's just like I've finally found my person. This is my person that I've chosen, and they've chosen me back. So it'd very much be that like I can actually say this to you because this is actually how I feel. It's not a fake thing that I'm trying to, kill you in your sleep. It's like this is actually real for me. So
I love that. I love that so much.
Wild
fine.
reference on this. This is the Bryson Hunt of our kids. For people who understand that reference, I hope I know.
The what?
In my brain, I'm like, why are you hunting a Bryson? And then I realize that
Bryson
I have no idea what's
Huntervale?
happening here.
you don't get a
Hunt-
reference?
What's
Neither do I.
Huntervale?
Hunt.
Oh,
What are we talking about?
I know. Want to know so
Faye.
bad.
I'm old.
a quart of Fey and Flowers? That fucking thing? No.
Quantum Roses.
Did it just click?
Crescent City.
Oh, I haven't read Crescent City.
I
That's why I
know.
don't
I
know.
never learned how to read.
What's
I
this
can't
book?
read.
I know Hunt.
Oh,
I've
God.
seen fan art.
Oh.
Oh.
I just tried
Jared,
to
I'm
make
19, I
one
never fucking learned how to
comparison
read.
for the fans.
Someone will
and now I'm
get it.
being grilled.
Someone will get it. Which will carry over to the one question I want to ask now is Voyager's decision to leave. You made mention earlier how it was kind of like it was in direct spite of the conflict with Cataract, and it was basically like, no, as you said, like, fuck you, you lied to me, you didn't help me, and then that dialogue where they're like, it's not our job to interact, we're not gods, we're just spirits, and all that sort of stuff. Is there any like parting notes or anything you give it as far as like, you don't have to give it away, but like what Voyage, like what's on his plate now, like what's he planning to do? That doesn't have to be like world breaking as far as like story wise, but like, do you have anything you want to give as far as like what he's searching for now, like what he's doing?
The purpose he thought he had found turned out to be a lie.
Mm.
He thought he'd found his insight and his path, his journey, his own adventure, really.
Mm.
He thought he'd found that in the boat. He thought he'd found the quest and adventure he was hoping to find by travel, while looking for the information about his biological family.
Yeah.
All of which he has been sent out to do and tasked with has been met in such a way that has left him completely frustrated with the reality of the situation. And that's purely down to his naivety. As for where he intends to go now, that he's come to that conclusion, I want to say he's soul searching. But that was the whole point of him coming to this fucking continent. But I'll put it like this. From being so inspired by Solace to travel, he has now decided to take a page out of Pillag's book. That doesn't mean much to fans unless you pay very close attention to any mention of Solace and Pillag that has
there you go. And then I think, you know, we had some very deep insight with Zero and Steph as far as, you know, what they're feeling with Voyage leaving. And like, you know, in the wake of the Eye fiasco, and then Zeph trying to catch them, Zeph trying to catch up to Voyage as Indo went to leave. God, that was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie, hard to watch, Chief. It was intense. Is there anything you guys want to add about that? The end of our arc, you know, where it left off, because like I said in that kind of closing statement, there's this very harsh dichotomy right down the middle between this side of the table, this side of the table. You know, Junior and Hugel have kind of found the light at the end of the tunnel. They've got the goal. Hugel's like, once we get this cleric, that's it, deuces, I'm out, I'm going home. And you guys are like, it's just fucking made it worse. You got any insight or anything you want to kind of put into that?
You'll find out in the next episode of Tomes and Tales.
Yeah, we've got like some ideas that we're cooking up to when like the next arc comes around, they go back to the city. I think that's when we're gonna really see a good chunk of insight into the after effects, because the way I look at Zeph and Zero is that they are a mirror of one another. They both have a very similar upbringing, a very similar experience. They've both come from very similar walks of life to a certain extent. And they both feel inherently abandoned by Voyage leaving. You know, Zeph with the mentality of like, you know, my friends always leave me. And Zero, full send. And Zero thinking like, I always fuck up on my kids and they always fuck off on me. You know, I feel like they are one and the same kind of
pain.
Yeah. So I think they will grieve the same thing, but grieve it in a very different way. Is kind of we've had a big discussion about it as you're aware.
Yeah.
So I think we'll definitely be seeing a physical manifestation of that grief in the next arc.
Yep. Sure. And anything you want to extra add for Zeph, or are you just gonna simply leave it at that? I thought so.
I would like to interject.
Go for it.
The journey continues.
Yeah.
Wow!
Oh my god.
Wow, so subtle. Now we're waiting for Seb to come back because I've got to ask the question. God damn it. But anyway, the tears. Making everyone sad. Come on, Seb. Well, I guess we'll wait for Seb to come back. I'll ask, what's it? Again, Petunia being a short form character, and we've seen so much like actual like interaction and growth with Petunia as a character. How does it feel, you know, coming to the end of the arc? Obviously, they're still in Portolo, so you will be back when we restart the arc again for like that sit down. But what's it feel like being? It's almost like going through all that turmoil. It's like Petunia kind of got a win at the end of it. In my verbiage might be incorrect, but that's what it looks like.
It's a really tricky situation with that one because it was nearly a dead end. The only thing that he really said that is the reason why him moving on for now was okay is that Zero lost an arm, because Petunia has that debt as well. It's like, fuck, I can't ask you to put this off to these people who've just given up so much for this village because I'm sad. So he has that responsibility, and it fucking knows at this time. But like if that before he brought that up, that was gonna be like you stay and we sort this out for a few weeks and then you rejoin them, or you go and that's it. But now there's outside factors that have to impact that decision. So that was a rough one for her. But it's at the point now where she can. Battle's done. Everyone's moved on. She can start mourning.
Yeah. What's up? On camera again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
blessing.
so much.
Blessing manifested.
Thank
you. Oh my god.
So good.
Hell yeah.
We'll be done soon, I think.
I will take the low tide one.
The what?
The low tide one.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, I
Every-
got a good one.
You did, you did.
I can't do the chips. Sorry, it's too far. Yeah, that's
Oh my
fucking.
Because like in the earlier one, it's like, oh, you sad. It's like I can't be sad right now. There's more to be done. But now everything's being done, and it's like, okay, we can take the time to cry
Thank you.
about my dad dying
Yeah.
viciously and brutally in front of me.
It was ruthless.
I shouldn't giggle at that.
And that was funny.
It was ruthless.
There's definitely some interesting insight though for like sometimes it's just like the smallest statement
Am I back?
that
Yep.
changes the way someone views something.
It's weird, hey, how like one sentence just changed the entire outlook.
Yeah.
Words can make a massive impact on people's decisions sometimes.
That's why roleplay is so important.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I extend the same question to you.
I don't know what it was.
There was a very clear dichotomy
Mhm.
between the two sides of the table where Hugel and Petunia. I almost said Pugil and Petunia. My brain went like, I had to just
Let's get
acknowledge
some
it out
shipping
loud.
names going
New
on.
name.
Swag Junior.
Stop it.
Enough.
Where Zero and Zeph kind of got like really got fucked at that end of the bargain. Their situation, if anything, has just gotten worse, especially with Voyage leading on top of that. But Hugel and Petunia, or Swale and Petunia by their standards, have kind of got a win. How does that feel? Being like, oh, I actually kind of came out all right at the end of this. You know what I mean? Like,
So, Hugel is such an empath that he still feels that, like, he can. I think he very much vibes that things are still fucked up for you too. But there is also that part of him that his biggest grievance in his own life and for himself, while there's still work to be done, he has faced it, defeated it, and is on the upswing. He also, and me as a player, also feels that he's done everything he can to help Zero with her grief, which was the biggest. You know, when we found Zero, she was wanting to die in a pit in nowhere. And has helped Zeph in their getting out of what they were stuck in and finding in some kind of religion understanding of the cycle of the world, like has rubbed off on these two and helped them deal with things. He is very disappointed that he hasn't been able to do that for Voyage, but also can see himself in Voyage. As I mentioned earlier, when Hugel left, he went from being this bright-eyed young kid that was on top of the world to everything he knew falling apart. He just ran away. So while he wants to be able to help, he knows you need time. So while he can see that everyone's in this really rough point, he knows either that he's done everything he can for them on a spiritual or psychological, like he's given himself and what he can of himself has rubbed off on the rest of the party. So even if he didn't continue, which he will for the next bit to finish his promise, he's given what he can to these people. But like that is what Hugel had to offer, was the understanding of grief and the cycle of the world. So if he's gone, he can now go on with his life. He's passed on and parted with that phase, that part of himself that was such integral Hugel has rubbed off on these people, and you know he's not gone from them because he's affected.
100%. Hugel has absolutely, like from Zero's perspective, completely changed the course of where she was.
If I could, that the whole limited time character thing, like that ending of that arc really shifted quite a lot of things quite drastically. But before then, it was really nice to just see little bits of Petunia rubbing off, and people like Zero with her, the way she was with her kids and like trying to be a better mom.
Oh, yeah.
And then like Zach
Yes.
and the poison.
Petunia really did rub off on Zero and the way she viewed motherhood. 100%.
I think Hugel is happy he could help with the joint task with Voyage, but there's this part of him still, and I can imagine when he does end up back there, he's always going to be looking at maps at the mark on the little town down south where your parents are as an unfinished.
Yes. We'll send you a postcard.
It's Zero with the one good arm. Wish you were here. But
Turns out there's like 8 other green little fuckers, and
Ah!
it's just Zero in the middle of them all.
But
I lost one and I found 9.
yeah, no, it's in a hard spot. Like I said, the whole thing of Hugo's story really coming to a good space. Like he's affected everyone in the right way. It feels like his role in the journey has paid off. But I don't want him to go. Like I want to keep using him. Like some of the magic items, for instance, that we've gotten through and stuff hasn't even come out to play. Like there's elements to Hugo that haven't been able to get used, but it really did work out for Hugo.
I'm gonna break your heart.
Good.
I feel like there's gonna be moments after Hugo returns back to Potts Hollow, and I feel like it might be the same for Zero a little bit, where they'll basically be like, "Where are we going?"
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Or
You're all going to be receiving sendings.
it'll
Hugo
be
all
one
the
of those
time.
moments where
Like, I'll just
maybe
interject mid-game when I'm playing my other game. Like, and you get this message from Hugo.
That will heal the soul.
And
That would
like
heal the
there
soul.
might be another moment where Zeph gets to connect with the Queen of Corvus again, and all they want to do is tell Hugo about it. It's going to be like those things where it's like that friendship has kind of ended because you're both going on different paths, but you still think about each other on a regular basis.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sad again.
Hugo has every intention, even after the fact, he still considers himself part of the project. He just has this other thing that, like, you're the found family now, but realistically, it's been a month and a half of his life that was otherwise this whole other thing.
I've gotten more attached for less IRL.
Yeah.
So I can't remember who said it. Someone said it in one of the other time tables where it's the concept of like trauma bonding.
100%.
Yeah.
You do bond faster through trauma. And you
Because
bond
you see
even
people.
faster through attraction of the Starian.
And it's because, like, when you guys are all suffering together, you see everyone at their worst, and so you know them at such a intimate level that you love them more for it. So it's like, I'm one of those firm believers in the concept of, like, love on a platonic level and love on a romantic level, emotional level, can happen in any span of time. It depends on It depends on I guess not the word fidelity in the sense of like clarity. In the I guess the quantity and quality of the interactions you have with that person, it can be a varied thing. In a month and a half, you guys have come together on this really haphazard kind of tumultuous agreement to go, hey, we're all going to the same place, let's hang out. And we all got there, and the beginner's like, oh, Zero's like, hey, why don't you can come to my house while we figure out what we're all doing from here, this and that. Then Gossip got introduced, and slowly but surely, everyone kind of got roped into this thing where it's like, well, we're here now, we might as well help them. Like, they're workmates, they're work colleagues. And then by the end of it, it's like, oh, Zeph was in an emotionally abusive contractual obligation to this fuckhead. We got rid of him, and they almost died because of it. Now it's like I need to like help them more, especially Hugh. Like I need to keep them alive. Zero going through the thing with Tess and her son. Everyone's like, "Oh wow, she wasn't lying. It was fucking bad. We need to stay with her and help her." Then going out to get the cleric, it expands into this web where it's like more and more things keep happening, which is slowly tightening the chains on every one of the party members that they'll be licked forever.
I think along with that as well, with D&D, there has to be that suspension of disbelief with timing and stuff, because while a session may take place over like 8 hours within the game, it's 2 weeks for people in real life. So this game's only been going for a month and a half in game, but it's been nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that has to be taken into consideration, because while the character may only be thinking about these things for this amount of time, you as a person have been thinking and planning about them for ages. You have a
Yeah.
lot more time to develop that.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how that ends up working.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Suspension of disbelief is definitely the thing, but I also look at it and be like, no, this is absolutely a dynamic that would happen because you guys have been through the fucking ringer together.
Yeah.
Any kind of experience. Like, if I use, say, example, I went on a Kentucky trip with my mates when we were like 21. It's 1 month. People from that, some of my mates are still like best mates with people they met on that trip. Like, it just stuck because
Yep.
there was a big part of the life. You did a big experience together. And that, it bonds people quickly.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, trauma specifically, but a big event and a long period of time like that, where you have a little tight-knit group, it forms a specific kind of bond.
A shared
does.
niche experience.
Yes, I have mutually assured destruction.
And I think all of our characters, by accident, our stories really lined up. There was
Yeah.
so much to do with family and found family, lost family.
God, that was a theme that I didn't expect to happen.
And
And
none
it
of us
just did.
planned
This
any of
arc has
this.
so much parenthood as a theme in
Mhm.
like so many different formats, different facets.
And again, speaking from Hugo's perspective, we had the lost child vibe. Your family just reminded him so much of his family.
And your
that thing.
family reminded
Yep.
me of mine.
It's because they're both short.
Yeah.
They're all big
And
a
then
little
yeah,
bit.
instantly like, the slight, interest in the religion found something there. And straight away there was just a bond of
Two bros.
Two-
Someone in a hot
yeah,
5 feet apart
because
because
they're not
gay.
yes. They just had that vibe, but also then it became this almost joint, like both of their spiritual worlds had them. It almost felt that fate, especially the fact that they came together before everyone else met. Like they met randomly in the woods. I don't know if it was a thing that was
Hugo
meant
was
to happen
burying
or
a
whatever,
body.
but it
Yeah.
really worked out in the end that it felt to me like the whole thing, like from finding the dead deer there, which caused Hugo to stop and do the thing, was a twist of fate from the Raven Queen to have him meet with you. And it was Dog that found the thing. Like, both of our spirit things kind of intertwined that then eventually led to this big bad being what this combined work was. It was like they were meant to do this together.
Yeah.
So like every single one of the characters, to Hugo at least, and to me, it was like, it just meshed so good.
Mm.
It messed up good.
Whether you did that on purpose or not,
I tried.
it worked fucking great.
There's definitely some accidental successes in there. Let's be real.
And use it. That happens.
Yeah, I try to exploit things where they happen now. I was like, really? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Don't
Make it
have to
foresight.
work.
It wasn't planned, but it works.
Look, if it's dumb but it works, it's not dumb.
Mm.
But this has been a good yarn.
Mhm.
I feel pretty confident that we've covered all the things we wanted to cover. Was there anything that anyone wanted to add?
I hope you
as
guys
far as-
like the new opening.
Yeah.
You've never seen it by now. I'm going to have to change it. We're going to have to just swap out a character, get some new references in there.
Look at yourself as well, mate.
Yeah.
I've already
Here's a
planned for my
mirror.
own. I've already planned for my own. We've got
How embarrassing!
a long time to my
Like, alright.
changeover because, like I said, Hugo's still going to be in that
We're
next
related.
start of the arc at
Yeah.
least.
I now need to rewrite the entire next arc because it's going to go the complete opposite direction of what I think it's going to do. So I'm just getting ready. I'm just getting ready. It always happens. It always happens.
I feel like the next one's going to have almost a soft opening, which will be us finishing the little journey we had planned, and then where the group goes from, like, what is the group from there?
Well, it's just
Well, but there'll be new people that are somehow now attached.
you will have to pick these up along the way.
I've already got it figured out. Don't worry about it.
Mm.
I've already got it figured out.
It's going to be very interesting with having new characters and people coming to a bond that is already solidified quite
Mhm.
a bit between two characters.
Mm.
Because it's going to basically be like new people. Now what? Are we going to go through this shit again?
Yeah,
You know?
you like come near them and we're like,
Yeah. Well, even that, like, planning my new character, I'm like, how would it make sense for this guy to join
Let me ask you a
along,
question.
like, because it won't be the same kind of found family. It'll be oh yeah, I'll tag along. or like, oh, I'll help for this circumstance. Like,
For money.
yeah. So it's different. It's gonna be interesting.
You know what else is going to be interesting? The Reliquum are back in the timeline.
Oh my god!
I always forgot about it. I always just closed on this episode without.
Oh,
Real quick, we got 5 minutes. We can quickly tack it on to the end.
Ah,
How'd that feel?
Even though we knew it was coming,
Yeah.
it came, and
It was way bigger than we were prepared for.
It came along.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah,
biggest
you
I'd ever
get
seen.
what it is for that.
It was the biggest I'd ever seen.
Not sorry.
I love it. As someone who helped, who built that as just what was going to just be for fun, but had the idea of going to Cody the Head, and you can take it from here if you like. Seeing it actually come into the campaign, I was like,
I had to just wait. I had to wait for
No,
the
do it.
third day of the blood moon to make it where it's like at the peak of like its power. And here's a fun little Easter egg: the old man with the mule that was walking with the cart. It's the same old man that the Undying League bamped in front of when they got teleported to the front of the city.
I could just imagine like seeing the very beginnings of the portal opening and him going, "Nah, they get oh
Yeah.
it's the fucking bomb, baby! Ah!"
It's the director getting exploded by the landmine in Tropic Thunder, where he just goes and just turns into a pink mist. That's what it was.
the most violent
loved
action
you
I've had with
taking
this guy.
on Blackhorn.
Hmm?
Loved you taking on Blackhorn.
Did you?
Having a character I made like that, like a fey guy, like you brought the Irish in when he gets mad, like because when I
Did you
played
hear it?
him, I kept accidentally slipping into Irish, so we built into his character that he tries to change his accent because he doesn't want to seem like everyone else in the face. He tries to make himself sound different, but when he gets annoyed or into something or gets too carried away, he slips back into the Irish, which we've kind of gone with. That's what the Fae kind of sound like. Loved that. When you start getting angry and then that slipped in, I was like, yeah, my accent.
Now we're going to have
paid
to
off.
change our whole plan again because Sky and I sat there for a while and we were like, okay, this character's got to fight this character.
Oh,
Right?
in our Don't Tell
Oh.
Dad chat, yeah, we were like planning
I
out
fucking
things.
forgot that existed, you bitch!
We were like planning tactics and whatnot. I'm not gonna lie, like I know that they're gonna get transferred into like, what's
Stat
the
block form.
yeah, like, but I was like looking over like Xena and I like started to sweat. I was like, this bitch has got a lot of spells that do a lot of
I
fucked
told you I
up
want to make it
shit.
powerful because I was going to try and kill you.
Yeah, and then I handed Sky my iPad and I was like, what have I fucking done?
Like you guys are now higher level than what the Reliquum are, I think, because you guys are all level 9 now, right?
That's where the
Yes.
relic ended though, because I said they got a level at the end.
Mhm.
Didn't they start at level 8 and they went to
7.
no,
They
7.
got 8 halfway through with the warlock.
Oh well,
Boost.
I've not updated the sheets accordingly to have like.
They
They're
all have
both
one level in
level 9 at the
warlock.
Oh,
moment.
there you go. Because I haven't
Yeah.
updated Victor and I haven't updated Vinny yet.
They all
so
have
I'm gonna have to,
8 levels in whatever the fuck they want, and 1 in warlock from.
Yeah, well now over the next couple of weeks, you know what? I'm probably gonna have to ask your brother to help me with that one because the stat blocks are gonna be tricky for those.
Yeah, he's not in mock.
But that was fun. I've been sitting on that little reveal for a while, so that was really good. I hope I did the voices well enough that like you guys feel like it was correct.
It's
Mozzie
fun
and
having a
Yavanna
villain
both
party.
having like Aussie accents. I had to like drop Yavanna a little bit, but I was like, the second someone threatens Vinny, I don't even have to say who it was because like we all knew. And then Mozzie being there and Vinny and Victor. Brandon, don't hate me. I tried my best, man. But that was really fun. But any other closing thoughts before we call it an evening?
Head empty, no thoughts.
Head empty, light work, no reaction.
It was a lot of fun playing out a backstory I
Yes.
made up, never thinking of actually it playing out. I said it in the above the table. All my characters from now on are going to have really happy backstories because that was.
You've
an
already shot
emotional-
yourself in the foot, man. Campaign 2
know,
guys
I
not happy at
know.
all.
I started in really whatever.
Don't
Cody's
give
like,
up.
Cody's like, what about something, right? And I'm just like, oh, that gives me an idea. And I sort of went into it like, I like it. God damn it, he was meant to be like chill, and now he's got.
It always
That's
happens.
the
Seb and
exact
I
same
touched
thing.
on that
Always
in our
happens.
above the table, how we both considered making happy backstories for our campaign 2 characters, and then we're both like, depression.
You were gonna love our
Hugo
campaign
started
2
the same.
characters.
Originally, Hugo was just going to be like a chirpy, sees the good in death and all that. And then after like one game, I was like, Cody, I got 9 points here.
Excellent. I'm happy it went that way.
Me too.
And again, even though we know that you're going to be on the channel for a while now with the next arc coming out and I'm coming back to the Broken Few, seeing you bring Petunia to life was incredible. Thank you
Yes,
again.
thank
So
you.
wonderful.
We're going to be
Thank you
doing it
so
above
much.
the table.
Yeah.
We're probably going to do a 2-part, so we'll do one where we
Yeah.
just talk D&D in general, but we're going to
Okay.
have another one where we just talk about the relationship between the
I
two
thought it was
characters.
Oh,
Yes.
How good.
We're going to keep getting Georgia back for our lawkeeper. She's now the full resident lawkeeper because
Yes.
this brain retains facts better than
No one better than you.
Yeah.
and brilliant job with that.
Thank you.
She wrote that whole script and memorized it,
Yeah.
nailed it, and now we get to say dog is black.
Yeah.
Add that to the meme.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got a couple of different games coming up.
Yeah, we've got
We're hopefully now fully good on our audio. Had a little slip up last episode. Like, I think we've got 27, 26, 27. But
And that was so out of pocket. Like, we couldn't have done anything
Yeah.
to stop it. It was just a wacky fucking instance. So,
but
we apologize for
everything's
that.
good going forward.
Punch on
We're
it.
shooting our Halloween next week. You guys will have already seen that.
Yeah, you're gonna love our costumes.
I don't know if it will have been. It should be out by the time this is done. Me and Mon did an above the table, so now we've had everyone in the core team.
I know
We'll
it took
get
you
Georgia.
so long. Jesus Christ.
We George played 2.5 hours. It's the
No.
longest one yet. But it was a good yarn.
Yappa yappa.
Like, alright.
Hopefully, there's a bit more information out by this point for you guys on the module we're working on. Do want to try and get it at least draft by the end of the year, which is roughly when this will be coming out. So fingers crossed. Module you guys can actually play, so you can play the Reliquums story.
Where was it?
What?
Your voyage book.
Oh yeah, I found it like session.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
I think that's a perfect place to end.
Yeah, that'll work. But yeah, that's what we've got coming up.
Yeah, it's session 22. I found.
I
found my
book. I want to try it there again. Amazing art done by the guys for all our one shots, all our random stuff. More of it's going up on Instagram. We are so lucky to have a team of skill.
Across the board, everyone,
Oh,
whether it be with their brain or their ability to tell a story.
I just talk shit.
Yeah.
Don't put me on
you
that
create
pedestal.
our worlds. I make them to go on the table in front of us. These guys paint the pictures of our characters. We have someone that actually retains all the nonsense
Yeah,
we
I just
say,
know
which
all the
is
shit that
but just it's awesome building up this group. And like I was saying, we're getting more friends of the channel. I think there is plans Cody has for another guest coming up, which I think Sky's the only one that knows anything about, from what I've heard. Other friends of the channel, like Yasashi doing
Yeah.
models and stuff. Like, it's really cool seeing this evolve. And we've talked about it because we often get comments on different things, but like, the reason we do this is because we all love it.
Yeah.
We've found our people here,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like, you can see how much we just rant about this shit. We all fucking love this. We would do this whether there were cameras here or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just happen to have.
It's such a fun community to be a part of because there's so many different perspectives and so many different stories to tell. So
Thanks for following.
We'll see you.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Fade to black. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for sticking
Love
around
you
again.
all.
We love you. See you in the next one. Good night.
Mwah.